Like, y'all be thinking in just in the moment. It's so disgusting to see how y'all just think in the moment. Nobody actually reaches out and thinks past the moment. This is why he is where he's at and you're where you're at. Because y'all so afraid to think outside the box. Alright, Torture Talk, after hours, you know what it is, man. You know what it is, man. So look, we're going to be tapping in with Knox Hill. He goes through his version of what the Super Bowl halftime show meant. And this should be very, very interesting. I want to see his perspective on it versus, let's be clear. Let's be honest. He's white. He's a white man. So I want to see his perspective on it. You know what I'm saying? I know people were saying in the comments there's white guys who liked it too. So here is a perspective from a white man. And I'm not saying that to be derogatory or disrespect anybody. I'm just saying him being Caucasian, here's his perspective of what the Super Bowl meant to him and what it meant. And I'm going to give my take. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, man. Thank y'all for being here with me too on the After Hours show. I really appreciate it, man. All right, man, let's go.
Halftime show of all time. And if you log into social media, it's also one of the most polarizing. But when you start to peel back the layers and understand some of the deeper symbolism in the whole purpose of the show, it was meant to be that way. As a creator, it's one of my jobs to stay tapped into social media. To keep an eye on the trends, on the stories, to figure out what I'm going to do, what I'm going to break down for the day, what content I'm going to cover. And the longer I do this job, the more you start to see and just recognize patterns and trends of how different people in power, how different influencers really try to use social media as a weapon in order to bend narratives and try to influence public opinion. And in relation to the halftime show, you can definitely see it. You can definitely see the...
That's 100% facts. 100% facts he's speaking right there. 100% facts. No matter what side it is, whether it's the left or the right, everybody is trying to either say it was terrible and it's a damnation to the nation of the United States, or on the other side, it's not good because it's good because it's uplifting black people. Like, the thing is, it was up for interpretation for everybody. Let's put it to you like that. And on top of that, it is what it is. Like I said, we're Americans. All of us are Americans. And if you are white and you didn't like it, you gotta feel the same way about us when we didn't like when people was playing the music all of those years. We didn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't meant for us, right? So this here wasn't meant for y'all. And I'm glad the NFL is allowing people to express themselves. I don't like certain things. But if a person wanted to express themselves, I have to respect that. I don't have to agree with it, but I respect it. It is what it is.
Influence it and put their positive spin on it. You can also see the roots of a organized campaign that I would put money that Drake is behind trying to influence some negative biases, some negative reactions and reviews, and the stories that are shared in the way that people are consuming and understanding this halftime show. And as someone who's always trying to get to the truth, as someone who always tries to step back and look at things logically, what better way to understand this halftime show than from the source itself? So who better than Dave Free, co-founder of PG Lang and Kendrick Lamar's partner? The Wall Street Journal just did a really interesting interview with him, so we're going to dive into it and talk about this right now. Would he play it? The question hovered over the Super Bowl even after Kendrick Lamar had kicked off the halftime show. The rapper knew exactly what his audience wanted to hear, teasing snippets from Not Like Us, his most famous diss track from a nearly year-long public beef with fellow rapper Drake. Audience anticipation crescendoed towards a climatic, thundering performance of the Grammy-winning song, featuring a dancing Serena Williams. And speaking of that whole media machine and social media narrative manipulation, you could see that agenda happening with Serena Williams and the way that she's getting attacked, but we'll dive into that in another video again. We wanted this performance to have a cinematic and theatrical element to it, said Dave Free, Lamar's creative collaborator and co-founder of creative agency PG Lang, in an interview ahead of the show. We can confidently say that there's no Super Bowl performance that's quite like this one. And yeah, I would have to agree, and I pointed out in my original breakdown of this, like,
I agree. Only other one that I think kind of is on the level of that was the Weekends. I like the Weekends, and I liked this one. I also liked Dr. Dre and them too. Thought that was pretty interesting. But my favorite ones, the newer ones, was the Weekend and was Kendrick Lamar's. I would say Kendrick's was first, and then the Weekend's was second. I like those the best out of all the ones that happened so far. You know what I'm saying? They were amazing. They were amazing. You know what I'm saying? Put together very well, done very well. And also too, I want to shout out Knox Hill. If you never heard Knox Hill rap, he is a super rapper. When I tell you he is by far one of the best lyricists that I ever heard online. I would say he's probably one of the best lyricists that I ever heard. And I'm listen, I'm not capping. I'm not saying this to be funny or anything. No, I'm dead serious. This guy right here is a super lyricist. His pen is phenomenal. You should check him out. Check out some of his music. He's very good at what he does. Very good. So just shout him out. But yeah, let's keep it going, man. Let's keep it going.
So many Super Bowl halftime shows are about the hits, right? They're a play it safe game. They're really like a celebration of the artist. It's almost like a victory lap. Like you take your most popular tracks that everyone wants to sing along to, and you just do it bigger and on a much grander stage, you know, with pyrotechnics, with dancers, with just extravagance and everything happening. Kendrick Lamar didn't take that route at all. He didn't sit there and just play the hits. Every song choice was thought out. Right? The way the stage was laid out, it was scaled back, it was simplified, but there was so much layered symbolism and details throughout and Easter eggs that we're still uncovering and still finding. And I think that's perhaps where a lot of people were thrown off, and that's where the risk comes in, because we're so used to not having to think, to just sit there and enjoy the halftime show. All of a sudden you have a halftime show where people have to sit there and process, and it challenges their brains, and it makes them really start to think deeper about what's going on and what they're witnessing. And not everybody's programmed for that. Not everybody's used to that. So yeah, there's a huge risk, and obviously that's going to get backlash. But I think as time goes on, much in the same way that we really start to appreciate classic albums, do they stand the test of time? With the test of time with this, more and more Easter eggs get revealed, more and more details, and you really see just the creative genius and thought process behind all of this. You know, everything.
I 100% agree with that statement. I definitely think that as time goes on, this Super Bowl performance will be being uncovered by people in the future who's listening to this and saying, wow, I didn't know that this was like this. I didn't know that was like that. I didn't know that meant that. I think that Kendrick Lamar made the best decision of his career to do the Super Bowl that way. I'm almost guaranteeing that this is the best decision of his career, because that iconic performance is going to catapult him into a new stratosphere of stardom. I don't think that Drake could ever reach this level of stardom. And what I mean by this, I'm talking like influence stardom, not popularity. We're talking about influence. The influence that Kendrick Lamar has just sparked is something that Drake could never do, ever. He could never have influence like this. You can't fake influence. That's the deal. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy that he did what he did. Dare to be different. You got to. That's what it's about. That's why America always winning everything, because we always dare to be different. Look at us, man. We try different things all the time. Some of us might even take it from others, but it's America. It's what we do.
measured. Everything had a layer and a meaning to it. A Pulitzer Prize winner, Lamar is the first rapper to headline a Super Bowl halftime show on his own, which is huge in and of itself, and his creative team wanted to make a statement with the historic performance. Free said that the show was meant to evoke the black experience in America. I mean, come on. Lamar loves his dates. The pop-out concert on Juneteenth, right? The significance of that. Performing in the Super Bowl on Black History Month, you don't think that wasn't on his mind? That wasn't important and key for him in motivating his performance and what he was going to do? Samuel L. Jackson, the legendary actor, introduced the show dressed as Uncle Sam, and dancers dressed in red, white, and blue formed.
Right there is one of the best points that I think anybody could bring up whenever you arguing with somebody about the Super Bowl halftime performance. It was during Black History Month. And I know a lot of people don't like Black History Month. I know a lot of people wanted to be eliminated. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with y'all. I think that it shouldn't be a dedicated month to Black people. I think that we should be treated the same way everybody else is treated. And what I mean by that is every Black person in this country should have a month, not a month, but a whole year, everything. We should have everything. It shouldn't be just a month for us. It should be a year, or it should be every year. It should be normal that Black people have it all. You know what I'm saying? And I say that not to disrespect Black History Month. I'm just saying, I think that it's more important that we gain everything, access to everything, than just 1 month out of the year. I know a lot of y'all probably feel like it's our own and that's how we feel. I mean, I just disagree with that. I think that we should deserve more than just a month. 100% think we deserve more than just a month. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. I don't feel like we deserve just a month. That's just what it is. But this was during Black History Month, so you can't really be mad because he showed the history of America on Black History Month. Like, I don't understand why y'all just didn't get that. Like, I just don't understand it.
An American flag in the middle of the field. And we talked about that imagery of Kendrick in the middle of the flag, almost representing a country divided. And then obviously you see the dancers, the way that they're lining out. You have an America that was built on the backs of slavery. You have an America that was built through the hard work and has foundations in roots and contributions to Black America, right? Kendrick Lamar coming out talking about 40 acres and a mule. You know, the promise that was never fulfilled, the carrot that was dangled but it was never saw through. And you look at a history of discrimination, a history of violence, a history of division. There were so many more powerful messages at work, even sort of Samuel L. Jackson and his character representing Uncle Sam, but then also calling back to sort of the Uncle Tom analogy, right? And trying to tell Kendrick how he's supposed to be, almost having sort of like a white America expectation on how hip hop music is supposed to be. How a lot of
That's right. He's right. He's right. Now the Uncle Tom thing, I don't think that it's Uncle Tom. I think it's more of a Sambo, but I think we have said Uncle Tom. Now as far as the messaging from Samuel Jackson, I think it was perfect because white America, when it comes to hip hop, I'm saying, they do believe that most people that listen to hip hop from white America, they think it's all music about guns, drugs, women, cars, hoes, clothes, killing. That's it. Kendrick Lamar comes around and he gives us a thought-provoking, thought-provoking performance. Now all of a sudden, he's wrong for that. That's why I disagree with conservatives on that. It's like, so he's wrong for putting out what happened in the history of America and how people look at us. Like, again, this has nothing to do with racism. It's just the point that if you got white people who expect black people to act a certain way, and Kendrick Lamar comes out and he does a performance like that, and you say that he was wrong for that, how? That's like me expecting white people to act a certain way. It's just not, it's not a fair, you can't do that. You can't expect us to act a certain way because that's how you believe it's supposed to be. That's what I totally disagree with conservatives about. And I believe like none of those conservative people actually looked into it. They was just complaining that he was talking about black history. Like I'm like, so how you complaining about something that actually happened? But then again, when things happen on the right or the other side, everybody, you know what I'm saying, supposed to just accept it. We could take J6 for example, right? They was all for that, right? They was all for that. But truth be told, how you going to defend something like that against Kendrick Lamar, who's basically saying that America was built on these certain things? Those certain people from J6 was basically doing the same exact thing Kendrick was saying in the song. We was treated wrongly, and we're going after the powers that be. In his messaging, he was saying the same thing. So I don't understand how y'all can sit here and say, "Oh, it's wrong for him to repeat that or say this or do this, the atrocities of what happened to black people," but then get up, then defend the J6ers. It's like, what are we doing here? The J6ers was basically a rebellion, right? If for all intents and purposes, it was a rebellion against feeling like they was treated wrongly. It's the same thing that Kendrick was saying in his messaging. Like people was treated wrongly, and this is how we feel. So how are y'all mad about that? I don't understand it.
Industry execs and record labels will water down the hip hop experience so that it's more digestible for middle America. So that's more digestible for a mainstream audience. And then there's that critique of consumerism and that whole tie in with obviously the reason that the music is watered down is because it's all geared towards profits. But this wasn't a statement about profits. This was a statement against that. This was a statement against consumerism. This was a statement against those currents and those movements within the music industry. This was a statement for the culture, for MCing, for rap, for hip hop. Lamar's path to the Super Bowl stage began with a call from Jay-Z, Free said. As the NFL's live music entertainment strategist, Jay-Z plays perhaps the biggest role in deciding who performs at the halftime show. In 2022, Lamar was a part of a halftime medley with Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, Eminem performing hits like All Right. I left 50 Cent out of that. Isn't that funny? Freeze said he wasn't sure Lamar would be asked to perform at the game again too soon, but it felt like the right time for us. Free and Lamar watched every single Super Bowl halftime performance, drawing particular cues from Beyonce, Prince, amazing halftime show, and Michael Jackson's headline shows. And Kendrick actually beat Michael Jackson's record because he was the most watched previously. The feel of it is Black America. Free said of Kendrick's show, what does Black America look like, and how to control that narrative of what it means to be Black in America versus the world's perspective of that is. I mean, that's a hell of a statement to make, and that's the pivotal role of Samuel L. Jackson's character.
And what I don't understand is how are y'all upset about this whole halftime show when he did it during it's Black History Month, and he did a historical performance. That's like, oh my God. That's like me going to a play about, I don't know, the Roman days. And I go to a play and I get upset when it's during, I don't know, Roman times, the Roman month. And I get upset I ain't even going to say all that. I'm just going to say, I get upset at the historical evidence that's being presented. Oh, this is wrong. They shouldn't have did that. No, man, nobody here for that. Like, no, it's a show. And I'm telling you right now, I can almost guarantee you, from this point on, the Super Bowl will never be the same, bro. It will never be the same. Never be the same as far as shows go, because I think that this actually level people up. People not just going to do anything anymore. I'm going to tell you right now. You might have some people that try it, but they're going to seize the opportunity to try to dare to be different and do something else. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to come in on wires and all this stuff no more. I just don't see that happening. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's keep it going, man.
Commentary coming through of that. That's him trying to control what the to control that narrative of what it means to be black in America versus the world's perspective of that is. I mean, that's a hell of a statement to make. And that's the pivotal role of Samuel L. Jackson's character, right? That's the meta commentary coming through of that. That's him trying to control what the black narrative is supposed to be in America. That's the industry, the label. That's America itself almost telling, no, this is what rap is supposed to be. And it's sort of Kendrick's chance to not listen to Samuel L. Jackson throughout it, to make a statement. And the thing is, he never responds directly to Samuel L. Jackson. I really find that interesting. It's almost like Samuel L. was talking to him. And it's like Kendrick is taking all this on board. But instead of responding directly in conversation or replying back, he responds through his music. He responds through his art and lets his art make the statements that he needs to say. That message threaded through details like wardrobe and choreography. Sanchez said Lamar wanted nods to Los Angeles and street culture and less uniformity for background players. I mean, shout out to the Bay as well. It wasn't just Los Angeles. It was a true celebration of the West Coast. I mean, he featured the same people and the same dancers that he had in his Squabble Up video. And we talked about the double meanings and the layers to the red, white, and blue, right? Not just being the colors of the American flag, the reds and the blues, the bloods and the crips. Kendrick Lamar, much in the same way he did at the Pop Out concert, you know, uniting those gang cultures, bringing different colors together. You even had this beautiful moment for Man at the Garden when you just had the dancers in all white behind them. And if you go back to the meanings that Kendrick said on his Good Kid Mad City album, when people speculated, what do those acronyms mean? Well, one of them was My Angels on Angels Dust. Samuel L. Jackson shortly afterwards going Deduct One Life. You can see that this is definitely representation of the angels and those who have been lost, now ascended to heaven behind him. And shout out to Justin Hutton, the company man, yet
That's very powerful. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. That's powerful. I didn't even know that. I know a lot, but I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. That's crazy. I didn't know that that's what that was supposed to have meant. I thought it was just people on the street corner today. But now he's saying like all of the people in white is the angels. That's pretty dope, man. Oh, man. Let's keep it going.
for putting me onto this one. But he speculated that Man at the Garden is actually Kendrick at a cemetery. I mean, that's haunting. That's beautiful at the same time. Everything has to be choreographed, even the unseen moments with camera. The performance is televised, but it is also for the people in the audience, so every moment matters and it has to be right. And speaking of the media manipulation machine, I saw some people and streamers trying to say, oh, nobody was vibing to it at the halftime show, nobody was enjoying it. But I tell you what, it's a shame I couldn't afford it, but I would have loved to have had the opportunity to have been there, to have seen it from just sort of that bird's eye view, to really see all the different levels and angles and elements to it, because you could tell from the PlayStation controller setup to just the choreography, the colors, the messages behind, like the game over that was read. There was so much happening in a singular moment in time. And it's so true. And I love that approach, though, that, you know, on one hand, we have this story and we have this art that we have to convey for the camera, because there's going to be millions watching at home. But also, we still have a stadium full of people that we have to entertain, that we have to find a way to just blend these two worlds together. And that is not an easy task and not an easy process at all. The Super Bowl halftime show is no ordinary live show. Production designers had to consider factors such as protecting the stadium grass from sets and making sure the air quality wouldn't be adversely affected by special effects. To keep the weight of the sets light, designers used aluminum and steel frames. I mean, it's fascinating how much goes into this. Our stages and scenic elements are all pushed into the stadium and onto the field by almost 500 stagehands, says Bruce Rogers, a production designer. Lamar's performance marks Rogers' 19th Super Bowl halftime show, his first being 2007 when Prince headlined. And isn't it funny with the Kendrick and Drake beef, right? The Michael Jack to Prince sort of comparisons throughout that battle, right? And Drake in first-person shooter representing Michael Jackson, right? And having sort of the flexes and the visual callbacks to that with the glove and just with his record setting. And then Kendrick Lamar invoking Prince in his response and his layers to how he did everything. And here we go yet again, tying back to all that and how it really comes around full circle within the Super Bowl halftime show. I also saw a post, and I'm not too sure about the validity of this, but this has been shared as well, that the pyrotechnics weren't allowed to go through.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's an amazing callback, because if you think about it, the Prince and Michael Jackson of our time would be Kendrick and Drake. Um, People say that Michael Jackson and Prince didn't like each other. I don't know if there's really stone cold evidence of that. Maybe I didn't see it. I actually seen them on the stage at one time. And I believe Michael Jackson called Prince to the stage, and Prince got on his bodyguard's back and came to the stage. But I don't remember them actually hating each other. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember that. But there was some tension there from what I seen, but I don't think they hated each other. But yeah, let's keep it going.
Because Donald Trump was there. And since he was there, they had to take that away. And that was a big planned part of the set. So that's part of it that was definitely a key element that was missing. Free said the team wanted to feature songs that would make viewers curious to learn more about Lamar as an artist. It wasn't about playing the hits, Free said. Well, if you look at the fact that Kendrick now has 3 albums on the top 10 for the Billboard charts, and he's setting records with that. Also, the resurgence and reemergence of GNX to #1. I would say that that mission was very well achieved. And that's the thing. You didn't have like the swimming pools. You didn't have the all rights. You didn't have a
This is what I was saying, man. I said this. Why would he play his hits when people know those at the Super Bowl when this is the biggest advertisement ever? You could literally play your newer songs and people are going to go listen to your old songs regardless. Like, y'all be thinking in just in the moment. It's so disgusting to see how y'all just think in the moment. Nobody actually reaches out and thinks past the moment. This is why he is where he's at and you're where you're at. Because y'all so afraid to think outside the box. A lot of you guys would never be successful on that level because you can never, ever, 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 ever accept that you have to think out the box sometimes. Kendrick Lamar don't need to play hits. He don't need the money. He don't need none of that. He don't need none of that. He can do it when he wants. And that right there just solidifies it. He got 3 albums. It's so many records he has broken. I'm telling y'all right now, I can't put it on the screen right now because I only could look at YouTube. I can't put it on the screen. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to figure it out. But when I get back to the studio, I'm definitely going to do a whole episode on all the records that Kendrick Lamar has broken. I'm going to show y'all all the records he has broken just in this year. Just in this year.
real celebration of GNX, but also GNX was very relevant to the message. GNX was very potent and powerful, setting records with that. Also, the resurgence and reemergence of GNX to #1. I would say that that mission was very well achieved. And that's the thing. You didn't have like the swimming pools. You didn't have the all rights. You didn't have a number of tracks I really sincerely thought would be a part of this set. You had a real celebration of GNX, but also GNX was very relevant to the message. GNX was very potent and powerful for the layers that Kendrick wanted to get across. And like we said earlier, I mean, it's a hell of a risk and a hell of a strategy to go, yeah, hit records, bump that. We don't need it. Let's make this about the MCing. Let's make this about the art. And hell, we even got some new verses. We even got some new bars. We even got just classic hits that were rearranged musically, right? They were remixed on one of the world's biggest stages. This whole event and halftime show was nothing but a huge risk. Except for one, of course. I want to perform their favorite song, but you know they love to sue. Lamar quipped during his set. In January, Drake filed a lawsuit against Universal Music Group, his and Lamar's parent music label, calling Not Like Us defamatory. Which, yes, I don't lose the irony that Drake is suing over a diss track, and we just did a breakdown of him firing shots yet again and throwing more subliminal disses. When he finally launched into Not Like Us, he led the crowd.
Yeah, he definitely did. I don't get it. He definitely did. He definitely did throw more shots at Kendrick, but still out here saying that he's the one he's the victim. Like what are we doing here? What are we doing? I just need to understand.
in a sing-along of its most famous verse, trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. And I said this, it's very tactical what part of your song you're going to pick, because you only get like 15-20 seconds of that song before you move on to the next one. So it's very important what aspect of the track you choose to highlight. No coincidence that he picked that part. The finale sent the stadium into darkness, revealing the phrase "game over," written against the crowd in lights. There was still half a game to go. No, the game was over at that point. But in his own battle, Lamar had crowned himself the winner. And again, I've seen manipulation, I've seen spin of people going, I can't believe he just made the show about Drake. I can't believe that he performed his biggest hit song that he literally just won 5 Grammys for. I mean, what did you think he was going to do? And yes, a lot of this show was addressing Drake. A lot of this show was a huge just final F you to Drake and final rebuttal to everything. But that's only one lens and one way to look at it. Much in the same way of his battle with Drake throughout this beef. It's not just about Drake. There was a greater message and a greater theme that Kendrick Lamar was trying to convey. And for me, that game over is not just directed at Drake. That game over is showing he is not going to play this game. He is not going to do what the Uncle Sam's, what the expectation is of him, as Samuel L. Jackson was trying to direct him, right? He's no longer interested in playing that game. This wasn't just a critique of Drake on the world's biggest stage. This was a critique of America. This was a direct look at its history. This was a look at the black struggle, at his identity. This was a look at hip-hop and how he's using his art to continue to stand for a greater message and to reflect his values and to try to enact the change and try to enact the empowerment that he wants to see through his brand of music. But anyways, let me know what you guys think of the halftime show now that you've had a chance to digest it, to sit down, to maybe re-watch it, to think about it. What do you think of all the stories that are being spun online? What's your feeling? What's your take on it? Comment down below. Also, if you're here at the end, don't forget to support the channel. Subscribe, notifications on. Really, really does go a long way. Cop your merch. KnoxHillMusic.com.
Yeah, man. I like Knox Hill. Pretty dope, man. His channel's dope. He's dope. Everything's dope. Yeah, man. I understand exactly what is being conveyed here, and I get what he's saying. I love his breakdown. He really said them things that even opened my eyes a little bit. But yeah, man, that's all you have to understand, that you can't be upset about things and then praise things that you believe is great, and they basically are the same. So thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all, man, after hours is over. You know what it is, man. Take care, everybody. Bye.